You probably won't believe it, but I'm standing in one of the most complex urban farms in Los Angeles, and we're just a stone's throw away from downtown. Let's visit Skyfarm on today's BFD. This is Skyfarm, and we're almost in the downtown Los Angeles, but this place has got everything from bees to gardens to chickens. Let's talk to the owners and find out why they created this place and why it's so important for our future. And so we're here with the owners and founders of Skyfarm, Meeno, Peluce, Ilse Ackerman, and their two lovely daughters, Meta and Bindi. Thank you so much for having us, guys. First off, how did you guys come to create this place, or resurrect it, I guess, as you were sort of saying earlier?
We needed to find a place to live, and the fates smiled on us. Opened up the newspaper one day, she did, and it said, "For sale by owner, artist vision required."
Which means dump.
Yeah, which means that it's a hole.
But we took it literally. We came up here with a whole lot of artist vision. It essentially always looked like this to us, and it scared everyone else. Our families were totally freaked out for us, and we couldn't figure out why until we, years later, look back at the pictures of what the place looked like then.
Nobody had lived here for 20 years. The only thing that was alive here were these big yuccas above us, some of the larger trees, but everything else was just brown. The house was a foot off level. All the windows were out, the porch was falling off. I mean, it was a complete and total wreck.
And now it's this sort of thriving Skyfarm of sorts up here in the hills, but it's in a sprawling urban environment all around us, right? But you guys have found this sort of...
It's our Shangri-La.
It's your little Shangri-La. And what are some of the features here that make it so unique?
Well, we have bees for honey and for pollination and just for general planet goodness. Mm-hmm. We have chickens for eggs, geese for eggs. We have a vegetable garden for our greens, some fruit trees, an earth oven. We bake our own bread in the earth oven. We collect our rainwater.
Yeah, some other friends as well, some furry ones and some slithery ones.
What do we have, girls?
We have 3 geese, 2 ducks, 8 chickens, 1 tortoise, 2 parakeets, 2 cockatiels, 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 little baby quails.
Wow.
And one got eaten.
You come down this broken old road, and by the time you pull up and come up here into this garden, you've really left the city behind. And the city's wonderful, and it's got all that you need, but then you can also get away from it. So that's what the notion of it having an urban homestead is about. We've got the life of farmers, but we also have the life of the city.
Meeno's career demands being in an urban setting. As a photographer who shoots celebrities, you know, it's Los Angeles or New York. I grew up in the country in Massachusetts, and I never thought that I would settle in a city. Mm-hmm. But here I am, and
This is how I get to keep her.
This is how he gets to keep me. Meeno was able to placate me by, getting a place with some land. So this is really, for me, I had to have this. A place where I could get my hands in the soil. I just love gardening. It was also important that the kids had an understanding of the process. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot from my mom, and I wanted my kids to understand. And their school has a big gardening program now, which I've helped to pilot. And, my daughter is volunteering to get the composting started in the cafeteria and starting a garden club. And so I just feel that it's a knowledge that I wanted to be able to pass down to my children. I was afraid that if I having children in a city environment, mm-hmm. that knowledge would be lost.
What are some of the things that you think that people who don't necessarily have this kind of land space, what are some things that people can do on their own?
I mean, I've certainly heard of people in New York City keeping beehives on their balconies. Mm-hmm. And, I think it's possible to have at least a small garden, a container garden, almost anywhere where there's sun. Chickens can actually be kept in a remarkably small space.
Our endeavoring to have this really cool life that actually, feeds you really wonderfully to live in such a beautiful place, mm-hmm. to go out, get dirty, keeping it beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's centering, it's thriving, it's instructive, it's creative. There's no TV in our world, and there's scarcely any time for it.
It's a wonderful thing physically and mentally to be out working the land. I mean, that's an age-old part of us that people lose track of, but I think when you do it, you feel great.
I'm curious, I mean, did you sort of have a plan where you said, I want to have 25 animals, an earthen oven, an aviary, all this stuff? I mean, it seems like it probably maybe inched its way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, people often ask me to come to their gardens and give them advice. What should I do? And they want an answer, you know, in a quick 30-minute session about what they should do to make their garden amazing. And my feeling is that, you know, a garden, it really does require meditation over time. I'll do a project and then the next one will come up and I'll bite it off. There was no plan at all. I mean, the first thing was just hot water and a roof because the roof had holes going up, you know, out to the sky. So, you know, once the house was shored up, then I turned to the garden. And so, no, it's definitely something that's a process that takes time.
It's been a decade of just doing it ourselves. The extent of all my building prowess has come from aviary, chicken house,
Meeno, that's
cover for the oven. I get better with each project I'm sent out to build.
Meeno didn't know how to swing a hammer when we bought the house, and he's really learned so many skills just by
Doing it
look
yourself.
it up.
I mean, that's the thing.
Figure out how to
Having
do
an
it,
old house.
and you know that's an incredibly empowering thing.
Right.
How do I do something?
There's something so rich and effortlessly bohemian and loving and embracing about being here. Often when I work tremendous long hours, and you know, I put all my soul into what I'm doing because I'm being creative and I'm trying to get soul out of other people. So I come home and I'm kind of spent. It never ceases to fill me back up just being here. That is not something you put your finger on until you go traveling and you spend time in other people's homes and other people's worlds, and it's very nice, but you come home and there's so much color here. There's so much living stuff here, right? So much herbage, so much biomass all around you, so much fecundity and layered tapestry of living that you realize, this is our home.
So for you guys, it sounds like sustainability at its core is about education.
You know, what can someone do to really be sustainable? You can have great kids and you can raise them really well. You can contribute to the solution. The first thing you learn as a parent, and then this really does apply to the rest of the world, is that nobody learns anything from what you say. They learn from what you do.
Right.
So, you got a philosophy, go live it.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Excellent, thanks
You're
for coming
so
up to
welcome.
Skyfarm.
Yeah. It's really great to see people gardening in a complex urban environment like this. They care about sustainability, they care about the planet, they care about what they're putting into their bodies. If you care about GMO labeling, then click the link in the description below to support it, because everybody should know what they're putting into their bodies. For BFD, I'm David Park. Make sure you subscribe.